We are privileged to have Ravi P. Maybe first I will ask Ravi to share how the evolution happened over a period of time, and your personal view also in terms of how you have come to this stage. If you can share some insights.
Thanks a lot, Ravi, for inviting me, and glad to be here. So I spent like good 25 years in telecom industry, working across the globe. We formed almost like 18, 19 months back. We started with building our first telecom-specific LLM, which is called T-Slam. And we released 3 of our models onto Hugging Face today. There are some 25,000 downloads that you can see. But we also have enterprise variant of model. And the purpose for us is what we realized is if you look at any generic model, the accuracy that you see on that is anywhere between 67 to 71%. And we really wanted to push that bucket because telco is a very complex ecosystem. As you can imagine, the nuances, the linguistics, the languages are very different. And so we did a lot of embedding onto the models. And today the accuracy has reached almost to 93%. The whole sole purpose is we really wanted to take these models to telco where they don't have to worry about the base intelligence of the model. And all that it needs to do is bring in the nuances of that particular enterprise or a telco, right? So which gives you an accuracy anywhere between 95 to 97%. So that's really the core model. The advantage that you get with that is the cost saving is approximately anywhere between 10 to 15%, 15x. So that is a phenomenal advantage that you get with these models. These models can be deployed on-premise, on your mobiles, on your laptops, which means that all the enterprises which are worried about data security, data sovereignty, everything is taken care of. Nothing can be pushed on cloud. And that's really the base fundamental. But having said that, we're just not a model company, and we want to touch upon it, different layers that we have built over a period of time. And yeah, we are getting good traction and great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for the detailed view. As a global GSI for telcos and also as an R&D services provider to the telco, we see two distinct things happening in the market. One is there is an AI native product development that is shaping up in the market where natively people are trying to integrate the intelligence into the product so that the overall the efficiency and operational overheads of the products are coming down with AI nativeness. That's one part. Second, we see that telcos are building a lot of new infrastructure that is required to run the AI workloads, and also they are trying to build some of this additional AI related edge infrastructure. That's one happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they are trying to embrace AI for operational efficiency and overall network lifecycle management, right? So that multiple things happening at the same time. We see that AI technology aspect is critical to all these three aspects. At the same time, we see that the business transformation that they are undergoing with respect to this AI and also the workforce transformation that they are undergoing is also equally important for them. So we're trying to address these three things together as an integrated solution partner to the telcos today. In this context, Ravi, I want to ask you, how is that you see these LLMs evolving? Especially telcos have a structured data. Telcos have certain regulatory compliances to be met. And how do you see this, the consumption of these LLMs from your side by these telcos for all the three aspects that I talked about, be it in the product, be it in the operations lifecycle management, or be it in the customer side of the equation that they have, right? In all these places, how do you see these LLMs being taken? And what kind of the special purpose built models for telcos, why they wanted to have that purpose built models, and maybe if you can throw some insights into how things are evolving from a telco perspective, especially with the structured data.
Yeah. I think it's quite a good question, a broad question, Ravi. So I'll try to address as much as possible. Now, first of all, if you look at the LLMs, there is not a single fit LLM that you see in the market. So if you go for any implementation, you have to look at the use case and pick and choose your LLM, right? So what you see on a contact center LLM, you cannot put a 200 billion parameter model or a 500 billion parameter model because the latency and the throughput will take a longer time and the experience will get impacted. So you're looking at a parameter size of anywhere between 1.5 billion to maybe maximum if 8 billion parameter. You cannot afford that. And similarly goes into network operations, whether you're doing test and diagnostics, root cause assessments, RAN optimizations, and things like that. So one, from a telco perspective, is really identifying what LLM really works and what use cases. That's one part. Infrastructure is also kind of second thought process, but the infrastructure cost is huge. So you can pretty much run these MVPs, but can you really take into productions? Because look at the tier ones, they have trillions and trillions of data sitting on there with billions of parameters sitting out there. So there are a number of interesting alternative chip providers that are coming in the market. So again, it's a very difficult choice that the clients have to make, what infrastructure really suits for these LLMs and for my use cases. This is where, again, probably a company like Wipro can really come in and really target it towards what is the best mix and match of the combination. Third part is hyperscalers. And we all have seen how hyperscalers have evolved over a period of time. They have their own platforms, they have their own models, they have their own infrastructure. And that's a great combination, but also a complex combinations, because none of the telcos really want to put everything in one basket, right? From computation, storage, LLMs, native apps. So that's other complexity that we need to factor in. Now, AI adoption from an LLM is not just so simple that you pick an LLM and put it, because there are associated applications which makes the entire use case more adaptable and more deployable. What does it mean by that is you have an agentic platform sitting on top of LLMs. You have machine learning models which are working hand in hand with LLMs. You have platforms like digital twin, network monitoring, orchestration capability, which is sitting underneath. So it has to tie the story, everything together. But for us to tie the story, you have to have a standard data sets. And if you don't have those data sets in hand and standardized it, no matter how much sophisticated ALM or LLM that you can go build on top of it, nothing will work. So where the interesting part is first to establish the data standardization, data lake, which has all the best correlations of data being available. And then you bring in these 4 layers of the technology stack on top of it. So it's a fantastic combination of having an advisory aspect, having an integration aspect, a consulting aspect, and then comes the product to really go and deploy and deliver the value.
Perfect. I think to extend on that point, I think the data is the biggest challenge for many of the telcos, because the accuracy of data is missing. The distribution of the data, it's widely distributed in the organization. It's not there in one unified way, and they have many other challenges. I want to touch upon the challenges that you see in terms of taking your LLMs to the telcos, right? Uh, Again, all the telcos cannot do the purpose built models. While we are talking about telco specific models here, all of them cannot afford to have such an engineering team. Of course, the large tier ones can do it, but not everyone, right? And the data availability and accuracy is a challenge. What are the other challenges that you see in the telco to adopt these purpose built models that you are bringing to the telco market?
Yeah, I think firstly, the AI strategy itself, what they really wanted to achieve with AI and LLM. So that's altogether different, topic by itself. But I think the AI trust, AI reliability, the responsible AI, the explainability of AI, these are a number of different topics which telcos evaluate these models. I can also tell you that the LLM are yet to reach to that maturity level. Because if you completely look at, you pick up any LLM, as you go and increase the context length, as the number of interactions that you do with the same conversation window, the efficiency and the accuracy of LLM declines. Because over a period of time, the LLM doesn't know in which context that you're talking about. On one hand, you say that, hey, do my RCA. On the same conversation, you'll say, I have an issue with my billing. So it doesn't know that, should I look at billing as a entry point or a talking point, or should I look at the network orchestration part of it? So it always loses the context. So there is a level of maturity that LLM has to go through. And that is where the important part, which from LLM, from a telco perspective, is how do we create these boundaries that what LLM should do and should not do? The guardrailing of it. how it really going and doing the function calling or a tool calling, so that it should not hallucinate. And whatever the data is available within the ecosystem, it should only evaluate those ecosystems. So there are a number of different standards, practices, benchmarking activities that are currently going on, and telcos are working very closely with the industry bodies to define those. And that's really how you can really assess which platform or which model is really giving the output which they are looking for.
Right, absolutely. So in this, just to extend the thought on the maturity of the models, and as we have this maturity model of the autonomy in the telecom network, do you see any expectation in the near future, the maturity of the model, to say that yes, this model is matured at this particular index? Are you seeing that standard bodies of the telecom or the telco consortiums going to do that, and where are they, and how are they progressing?
Yeah, I don't think there is any telco consortium that I have seen. There was a consortium formed long time back by SK Telecom, Do, and which is the GA Alliance. But I think the GSMA and TM Forum is really taking a lot of steps towards that direction. So if you look at GSMA, they have come up with OpenAI, where they are evaluated now 77 odd different models. So they are benchmarking against different data sets and also different parameters. So they are looking at accuracy, they are looking at latency, they are looking at throughput, so on and so forth. So there are a number of different parameters in which the models are getting evaluated. So, but that's one part of it. If you look at TM Forum, we have come up with something called Innovation Hub, which is a project foundation. The project foundation is really bringing the LLM and agentic AI together to say when LLMs interact with, work alongside with agents, what kind of benchmarks that we can set up, how do we evaluate those benchmarks together. But this is still, I would say, in an intermediate state. And they are really seeking all the telco operators to join that community and contribute to standardize these sort of metrics and benchmarkings.
So in other context, right? Finally, we are trying to solve the level 5 autonomy expectation of the telcos in all aspects by bringing these LLMs and agents and so on. In the current context, there are a variety of use cases everyone is talking about, and many of the telcos have their specific use cases based on the pain areas that they have in their operational cycle, right? In your viewpoint, the current models that you have or the industry have today, are they really capable of solving all the problems that our telcos are looking to solve, or are these models really ready for a level 5 autonomy?
Um, no, I don't think so. I think we are still at a very early stage. Most of the use cases that I have seen where telcos are really looking at is predominantly around root cause assessment. The RCA is really picking up, whether it is on a fiber side, satellite network, 5G core, so on and so forth. We have seen, again, some level of maturity when it comes to the network plan and build or a capacity management area. We have also seen certain models specifically designed for example, the service delivery aspects of it, whether it is to do with creating templates, creating config files. If you're migrating from a TDM network to IP-based network, how do you do profiling of those devices and see the migration activities are going on? So if you look at traditionally where automation used to play those kind of roles, now what they are saying is, apart from automation, can I bring in AI? So that would be a quick wins and easy wins for telco before they really go into some of the bigger use cases of network autonomy or optimizations and so on and so forth.
Perfect. So another viewpoint that we have as an SI, we are working with multiple telcos, and they're trying to look at what we are learning from a software development life cycle, right? We are a large software company. We are applying AI in our software development life cycle, and also there are many tools that have come in the market today which are helping to train the agents based on the what we do on day-to-day basis, so that they can mimic what we are doing over a period of time. Similarly, telcos are looking at how the network planning and network design, network operational related engineers, various levels of engineering work that they do, those engineers also wanted to have some kind of a teammates or assistants in the form of AI. That's another layer that's coming beyond these standard operations, right? How are you addressing that? Do you see that requirement really shaping up, and do you have some models ready for that as well?
Yeah, so I think we are currently working on I think when it comes to the entire SDLC cycles, we have to also look at network as a code, which is the future where we are heading towards, which means that the model can create the service templates? Can it create the resource templates? Can it create the config files depending on the nature of the device and the model of those devices? So there's a tons of work that we can create using AIs and really expedite that part of orchestration element of it. But in terms of the adoption, largely the focus is with the NOx operation at this stage. I have not seen many use cases going into field operations or a service operations or a contact center operations. Contact center operations is largely driven by the voice models. But these are the three areas which people are really looking at what are the different set of models and how to adopt those models in that space.
Okay, last point is around the regulations. Like the EU AI Act is really active now, and many of the telcos, in not only in this market, in some of the other markets, are also trying to follow that AI Act. Right? From a model perspective, can you share some insights on how you are aligning with this EU AI Act? What is that really required from model perspective to be fully compliant to the standards?
Yeah, I think one thing is every model needs to understand what those regulatory requirements are. As I mentioned about different pillars, ethical, responsible, and so on. So if you look at EU AI Act, there are some 8 pillars and 13 subcategories. So you have to test these models on all of those different categories. Now, the prompt engineering and testing those models, by the way, we have done this yesterday in Talent Arena, where 70 plus AI engineers was trying to hack our models in a 1 hour time. So we know how the model works. But that is one aspect of how we can really test these models, whether they are ready from a data security and security perspective as well. But again, the security goes beyond model. For example, when it talks about when the model is interacting with an agent and when an agent is interacting with your backend systems, how does that really tokenization works, how the session works, how the handoffs of, for example, how much of a data is encrypted or non-decrypted. So from that perspective, the security doesn't come only by model itself. So it has to create and build entire the ecosystem as we go along.
Great, Ravi. Pleasure talking to you. A lot of insights and a lot more to catch up further. Thank you for coming here and sharing your insights with us.
Thanks a lot, Ravi. Thanks for having me.